Hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of Find Out What's in Pelenta's Forrest. Grab yourself a glass of water or a cup of tea and spend the next few minutes with me. Don't believe everything you hear and check your facts. Do your own research. Check your facts. You know it. Don't you want to know what my butterflies are saying? I think you do. Don't you want to know what my butterflies are talking? In case you didn't know, I was doing the robot, people. Moving right along. How are you doing? Are you fabulous? I think you're fabulous. I hope everything in your life has been going fabulous. But what I'm going to talk about today is not so fabulous. You know, our teenagers and our young kids have a lot of stress to deal with nowadays in school. You see, people are streaming live ridiculous things on Facebook, you know, fighting, murder, suicide. The world is a lot different from when I was a kid. You know, things have changed and they have elevated to a very scary time. Kids are afraid to go to school. If you don't get in the right clique, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get made fun of for all kinds of different reasons. You know, because of your race, your sex, your skin color, your religion. There's all kinds of reasons why kids get bullied in school nowadays. And it doesn't matter what the reason is. Bullying is terrible, it's detrimental, and it'll affect you all the way into adulthood. Now, unfortunately, a lot of children come from broken homes. They're not close to their family. Maybe they're just rebellious or whatnot. But oftentimes, children are too afraid to speak up and say anything because they feel like the repercussions are going to be worse if they actually speak up and say something. So one of the things that I found out that a lot of kids will do is cut. No, I'm not talking about cutting their hair or cutting paper. I'm talking about cutting themselves. Taking razor blades and knives and cutting themselves. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And this is kids' health. You know, teens self-injure as a distraction from other emotional pain. And that's pretty awful. So this article here talks about kids' health and the perils of cutting. Now, with self-injury among teens on the rise, health experts urge parents not to panic because that can make everything worse, but watch for signs and take action right away. Your kid's mental health is at stake. Okay. Now, there's more than 13% of United States adolescents, they intentionally cut, scratch, burn, or otherwise injure themselves. And emergency room visits for such harm have tripled among kids between ages of 10 to 14. Now, this is in recent years, okay? But as the so-called cutting trend escalates, educators and parents remain perplexed about why it happens and what to do about it. You know, people really struggle with understanding this. You know, they wonder, it's non-suicidal, but it's self-injury, and they wonder, why would anyone purposefully inflict pain on their own body? Well, I'll tell you, contrary to popular belief, the stresses of teenage life and preteen life are just a little bit too much sometimes for our kids to deal with. You know, teens who cut themselves are not necessarily trying to kill themselves. Instead, they do this as a distraction from emotional pain. Now, you would think, how are they inflicting pain? And then that's supposed to distract from the other pain? It seems like if you're inflicting pain, you're going to be in pain. But according to psychologists, inflicting pain distracts from an even worse pain. So by applying one type of pain, they get rid of the other type of pain, you know? So researchers suggest that self-injury also elicits an euphoric surge of pain-killing endorphins. Okay, now did you hear that? Now listen. Research suggests that self-injury also elicits a euphoric surge of pain-killing endorphins. Now, the bad part about that is a kid can grow to depend upon this, similar to a drug or alcohol addiction. Now, this behavior also tends to spread through social circles. Now, as teens learn about it from friends, at school, via social media, they want to join in, you know? They want to join in and relate to these other kids that are cutting. So the consequences actually can be pretty grave. Now, cutting can lead to scarring, it can lead to infection and hospitalization, and in some cases, it can also lead to death, you know? And believe it or not, later on down the line, it can become a gateway to later suicide attempts. Now, in part because it boosts your pain tolerance and it habituates teens to the idea of hurting themselves. And the thing is, too, when you have someone who is cutting themselves, you know, you have to think, okay, if you're cutting yourself with a razor blade or a pair of scissors, or you just pick up like a little paper clip and you just start cutting, you know, there's bacteria on this paper clip, okay? Unknown bacteria, because there's no telling where this paper clip has been. Now, this paper clip has just been sitting here on my desk, but while I'm sleeping at night, a spider could come down and spit on it, leave a little web slime or something. You take that and cut yourself, and before you know it, you have a full-born infection, which can turn into gangrene, MRSA, and then it just goes on and on. You're opening yourself up to all kinds of horrible things. Now, believe it or not, self-injurers are 7 times more likely than others to attempt suicide. And like I just said, that is because you start to make yourself immune to the pain. You get used to the pain. So if you take it one step further, it's not really going to be that big of a deal, you know. But they have medications for everything else on the planet. But thus far, there are no medications that can quell the urge of self-injuries. But doctors will often prescribe antibiotics and anti-anxiety drugs to address the psychological issues that can lead to it. Now, Selby recommends talk therapy as well as medication, art, yoga, and exercise to serve as coping mechanisms. Now, I just talked about addiction in one of my episodes, and, you know, I think I gave you the analogy of the rats going to the cocaine water, and then after they got the distraction, they didn't go back. But then I was also told that some of them did go back. And that just goes to tell you that everybody can't be cured and everybody is different, you know. But one study looked at the exercise habits of adults with psychiatric problems and found that those who exercised more were less likely to self-injure. And that's probably because the exercise releases similar neurochemicals, you know? So while parents should talk to their child immediately if they suspect that he or she is self-injuring, they should stay calm. Don't go crazy. What's wrong with you? You come from a good home. We don't have anything to want for. What are you cutting yourself for? I just bought you a new damn car. You know, so, because there's a tendency for parents to overreact, and then they assume they have to hospitalize their child. And that often, creates a lot of unnecessary extra baggage and stuff. So the vast majority of adolescents who self-harm ultimately grow out of it, So, and those who undergo therapy, they tend to do so sooner. So, just with the way the world is today, and our kids have so much stress and so much peer pressure, you don't have to be a bugaboo or overbearing parent. But, until that child is 18, you need to be a bugaboo and an overbearing parent. You need to talk to your children. Okay, I just heard somebody's like, nah, don't be overbearing, but listen, you understand where I'm coming from. My point is, be involved in your kid's life. Be a snoop, be nosy. There's nothing wrong with that. Because let me tell you something. If you're not a snooping, nosy parent, when your child doesn't come home or something happens, you see the news. There's always a question of, why didn't I know? She said she was going here. She said she was going there. But later on, when you do a real deep investigation, you will find that child had a lot of freedom and not a lot of communication with your parents. Now, of course, after you're 18, by the law, you're an adult. You can go out and be buck wild and do whatever you want to do. But even after 18, your parents still need to know how you're living your life and what's going on, because when something happens to you, you're left with all these unanswered questions. It's better to know than not know. Because let me tell you something. If your kids hate you now because you're too strict and you're just cracking the whip on them all the time, saying, get in line, stand up, make your bed, bounce that quarter off the bed, cut your hair, pull your pants up. Let me tell you something. Later on in life, those kids, if they have any sense, they will turn around and say, thank you for staying on my back and helping me to be who I have become today. They will thank you for it. I know it's not easy being a parent. Well, you know what? It's not easy being a kid either. So get that communication going. And if your kid's getting mad at you saying, oh, I hate you, 9 times out of 10, you're being a good parent. You're laying down the law. You're laying down the rules. And that is all done out of the love you have in your heart for your child. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am so very grateful for everything. And I'm even more grateful for you too. So get your fine selves out into the world. Take your emotional butter bath. Let that negative muck roll right off of you. Stay sweet. Stay positive. You can buy my book everywhere and you will enjoy it. Enjoy your life. Have a fabulous day, fabulous evening. Don't take everything so serious. Be wise, be loving, and be kind. Because karma is always waiting to meet you and greet you and hug you. So you better watch your step. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching.